Okay, the Ospreys are facing a very uncertain future. Now, the Pro League is there are issues with funding and centralised funding, but for some reason the Welsh game is in the worst state, I believe, of all the constituent nations that compete in the Pro 14. Um, the Ospreys are in serious trouble. Now they have confirmed that they are going to be around for next season. There was a big worry that there was proposing a merger with Cardiff as a last resort, that they weren't going to be able to field a team next year. They have come out and said we will put a team on the field and the club will be in existence next year. After 2020, nobody knows. So yeah, there's a proposed merger on the table between the Cardiff Blues. That's been shelved for now, but I think that's the last resort, and I don't think how happy fans would be with having a merger with the Cardiff Blues. Now, there's a meeting on Monday, so tomorrow, between the four Welsh regions and the Welsh Rugby Union, and that's to discuss funding and funding bans and centralised contracts and releasing centralised funds to clubs to top up so they can pay players and develop players. So there's discussions take place on Monday and for the following weeks. There's going to be a lot of meetings between club representatives and the Welsh Rugby Union Board under the provision of the Professional Rugby Board. That's basically what it is. We'll get to that in a minute. The other issues with the Ospreys are they're less profitable than the other Welsh regions, and a lot of their players are going off contract at the same time because they've mishandled their contracts, and that is the club's fault. The club should have looked at their contracts going, Christ, we have a lot of players who have to re-sign at the same time. Let's extend some of these contracts for different lengths to suit the players. They haven't done that. They have all these contracts ending at the same time, yet they know they have money problems, and now they can't afford to re-sign all these players. So the players have to find a place to play. A lot of them are still in their prime, still international level, or even top level quality professionals. And, there's not enough slack in the system in the Pro 14, even with the Welsh clubs or all the Pro 14 clubs to sign these players. A lot of them, obviously, the natural option is to play in England. There's a great history of English clubs signing Scottish, Welsh, and Irish players, and always has been, and it will continue to be so. And with the argument over centralised contracts and selection rules to get in the Welsh national side, this creates more complications than solutions. But I would think if those players can't get re-signed by a Welsh club, that they will look at England, and if the English clubs are getting close to their salary cap, they'll look at France as a second option, and the French top two divisions have got a lot of that. And we have seen a lot of players go play in France for Toulon, for example, or Montpellier, Racing 92. There's a lot of players in the Pro League structure, so Italians, Scots, we've seen some Irish play over there. We have seen some Welsh players go over there and play for a while. The Italians more so and the Scots more so than the Irish and the Welsh because they have two less regions to play with, but there's a lot of European players that aren't French playing in the top 14. That's another option. Crazy option, Major League Rugby. But the thing is, they would have to play half a season or miss half a season of play because their season starts in January through to September. So there is that option. There's 3 new teams joining the league next year. There's a 10 overseas player rule in Major League Rugby. Some players might see that as an option to keep playing professional rugby at whatever level. You may see some of the fringe players who are younger players who want to just get more game time take that option. But the issue with re-signing players and the profitability issue of the Ospreys is well known. And Free Sports have done really great covering the Pro League this season, and they've gone into depth onto the issues with the Ospreys. They ain't shirking away from the hard questions. The Ospreys are not as profitable as other clubs. They are more heavily reliant on centralised money coming from the Welsh Rugby Union to come to them. But the Welsh Rugby Union doesn't have an infinite supply of cash. They can't just print money and give it away. They are limited in the money they also have. So, what does this mean? We have to look at the TV deals as well, because that's where a lot of the money comes from into the sport, through sponsors that get seen on TV, to the actual money paid by the broadcasters to have the rights. Now, Premier Sports, Free Sports, they cover it in the UK. I like their coverage. They've made it more accessible. People are buying in in large numbers, and the viewership is much higher than BT Sport. It is. BT Sport covers the European games. Less and less people are watching European club rugby on BT Sport. Sky Sport Sky Europe covers France and Italy and possibly some bits of Ireland because there's Virgin Sport in there as well. But we'll go with Sky as a wider group that covers internationals and club games, but it's lost the European rights to BT. But in the UK, not only is it on Free Sports and Premier Sports, you've got BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and Channel 5. So the terrestrial free-to-air carriers are showing games, be it internationals, clubs, European clubs, it doesn't matter. Games are getting on free-to-air TV. RTE in Ireland as well. But we have to look at the TV deals. And is there a centralised pot, or does each individual country, such as Scotland and Wales, Free Sports, Premier Sports, they would have paid RTE, Ireland, Virgin Sports, Sky, Italy? We have to look at the money pot and how the money is distributed to the 14 clubs. I've missed out the South African carriers because they'll be Super Sport, I believe, in South Africa. But we have to look at it. We have to look at the TV deals as well and where that money is going and how much money they've paid for the rights and where the TV rights for all the rugby is going. Because the internationals on BBC, Channel 4 and ITV, that goes straight into the rugby unions. Straight in. And that then gets distributed. But the club game on Premier Sports, again, how is that money distributed to the clubs? Because we're playing in a league here which covers Ireland, two constitution, well, technically Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales are part of the UK, so that's two nations. Italy, that's three, and South Africa, that's four. This covers four sovereign nations. And where is there a centralised pot of TV money that gets equally spread out, or not? So the TV deal needs to be looked at and how transparent it is. But we also have to look at the fact that the Ospreys themselves, match day, they're not profitable. They're not making enough money. They're not selling enough tickets. They're not selling out the stadium anymore. Yet the Ospreys have had some great players play for them, who've gone on to play for Wales and other countries. So they've developed some great internationals. They've had some great players play for them over the years. Why has it gone so wrong? We have to look back 20 odd years ago to the state of professional rugby after professionalism in 1995 and how the club game in Wales was on its knees. Hence the reason why the Ospreys exist and why the Celtic League was set up. I think Wales and Ireland have benefited most out of what was the Celtic League, now the Pro 14. You just have to look at their success in the Six Nations, without a shadow of a doubt. But it's covered up issues within the club game below the top professional level. And it is covering up some issues there. And there are massive funding issues at the lower levels of rugby union across the board, not just in Wales. England, there's issues. We've seen it in New Zealand. There's issues with centralised funding as well from the New Zealand Rugby Union. Australia's got problems. South Africa, two of their teams are now playing in the European competition, not the Super Rugby competition. There are issues with finances across club rugby around the world. But the Ospreys are the ones, I think, at the moment, as a club, in serious, serious trouble. And after 2020, we don't know what the future holds. But they have come out and said, we are playing next season. We are going to be fielding a team. We are going to be as competitive as possible. But I don't know how competitive they're going to be if they can't re-sign half their squad. That's going to be the under-21s being thrown out to play. And these kids are developing still. You know, they're not at the same level that the main squad are at. That could mean they could be bottom feeders. And if they do go past 2020, the funding needs to be resolved between the Welsh Rugby Union and the four regions. It has to be. And it needs to. It's very complex. There's different band levels. There's centralised contracts. There's a whole host of issues within club rugby. And the TV deal is another interesting point. Where is that money coming? Well, where is the money going? How much money actually gets straight into the club hands, or how much goes through the unions, then into club hands and distributed? So the TV deal is something that definitely needs to be looked at going forward. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your thoughts below, and we'll have some more videos for you soon.